Certainly, Stephen Curtis, and we're now at the Shell Cross Community Hall, where IFP spokesperson Ngcobo is listening to the needs of those who are being sheltered here. And so far what's come up is that as children prepare to go back to school tomorrow, they'll need transport. What we've also heard is the issue of housing, that where they currently stay, even during the 2017 and 2019 floods, where they stay, they still haven't been moved. So that's a clarion call to the Human Settlements Department. Another issue that's been raised, which has been, the undercurrent or the theme throughout, is the issue of electricity and water that has been, in need. At least here, Stephen, at this community hall, you can even smell, that there is some kind of food that is being served. But at the moment, Hlengo is trying to get a sense of what their immediate needs are, as well as their long-term needs. Also, quite importantly, Stephen, emphasizing that they're not there, along party political lines, and that they're trying to provide assistance as much as possible. And I think it's important to actually note, because, in some areas there has been some kind of hesitation when some political parties come in one way or the other. So he really started off his engagements with the community in that way. And you can see to my left, where my colleague Pilani Zuma is panning, he's showing you the engagements that he's having with the community. It's quite full inside this whole Stephen process, and so it would also need immediate intervention in terms, and there's young children here, remembering that the Department of Health has also made an undertaking to really assist for those who may need chronic medication. Nappies were another need at the Wema hostel where we were, and we will try and speak to Ngcobo in a moment, but you can see the situation. Stephen, it's really a community that is heavily reliant on those who will be giving whatever they can, from the bottom and the goodness of their hearts.
See people who are there, so many elder people, so many children as well, Ziyanda. It really tells you who's been affected by this.
Absolutely, Stephen Curtis, and I'm just going to bring in Ngcobo to reflect on this. And Stephen Curtis is asking, the issue here, what we see now is that there are lots of children here, which is quite worrisome. Not only have we seen a high number of children passing away as a result of the floods, but even just in this hall, you've heard the cry and the plea to provide transport, but even just the general needs of these young children, what kind of relief can be provided immediately?
Well, what the parents are really saying is that they want the children back in school, and I think that kind of optimism that there's still a tomorrow is something to build on. And so I think we will be leaving here now to engage with the relevant stakeholders to make sure that the children do get back to school. There's an urgent need for uniforms, which I'm sure the teachers will be understanding that over the next few days, children may not actually be arriving in school in uniform, whatever assistance is available. But I think the Department of Basic Education must be engaged to ensure that there is some synchronization and standardization in terms of the assistance that will be given to learners and catch-up programs for those that will be affected. So those are discussions that need to be ongoing. And I think I emphasized the point that a collaborated approach of the information we are all receiving in the various places, we're going to feed it to the relevant government departments and NGOs to provide assistance. But I think one clarion call coming out of the parents here now is that they want the children back in school, and we need to make that available. Secondly, of course, is IDs and birth certificates, as they are now highlighting that they are unable to move some of the things that they need to do on a personal basis because of the shortages in that regard. This may have constraints as well for children who are on social grant assistance as well, so we will need to move with the necessary speed to engage Home Affairs and DSD. We had DSD with us at Wema earlier on today, and so we'll be engaging them to be visiting facilities where people have converged and gathered, because it's easy to collate the information. So I think over the next few days, everybody's focus is really to make sure that government departments do what it is that is expected of them during this time.
You were speaking about synchronicity, which I think is something I'd like you to reflect on. Are you getting a sense that there is a coordination from the KwaZulu-Natal government, especially seeing that this coordination will speak to the sustainability of all these community halls and relief efforts, as we now see that we're going to be dealing with this situation for weeks and months to come?
I'm quite worried because by the looks of things, there's a disjointed approach. Everybody is found wanting. You're finding that in particular, and regrettably, I think this is something we'll have to deal with across the spectrum. Political parties need to make sure that their councillors are on the ground. The biggest complaint we have received, whether it was in East Pingo, in the visit just of today, East Pingo Ward 74 of Durban as well, amongst others, that there is an absence of the public representatives, which are actually supposed to be coordinating in between the departments and the people. Of course, this is a responsibility that falls on the shoulders of members of provincial legislatures and members of parliament, but municipalities are closest to the people, and really you've got directly elected councillors as ward councillors who should be there. Some, we are told, have not met any community members, they've not been to any of the facilities where people have been housed, and people are increasingly relying on NGOs amongst others for help. Today we've already met with the Gift of the Givers, Gift of the Needy, Black Sash, who are on the ground, and there is a heavy complaint that there is an absence of leadership on the ground. That absence of leadership is bound then to translate into a lack of synchronization, collaboration and cooperation. So there is an urgent need really to converge on this matter. The IFP president was telling me earlier on that in the provincial legislature they will be calling for a special sitting of the provincial legislature, so that the government departments can be able to present plans, whether of course to portfolio committees, but there is a need for everybody to sing from the same hymn sheet. This is not an executive exercise, but one that requires everyone. And I'd imagine that Parliament in itself needs to move in very closely on this matter as well.
In 30 seconds, do you support the call that is being made by the KwaZulu-Natal government to have this now declared a national state of disaster? Is that the solution?
Well, it's all a matter of semantics. We're going to look into the modalities and the intricacies of what that means. But whether it's declared or not, what is absolutely urgent is boots on the ground. It's government officials, government departments coming to areas such as this one to deal with the issues. That's the urgency. Let's not have a protracted debate about semantic. Let's have an urgency on the ground to deal with the issues so that people can get relief and people can begin restoring a semblance of their lives and be able to rebuild their lives. That's what we need to be focused on.
Stephen Mkhuleko there from the IFPs, the national spokesperson. But as we enter into week 2 of the devastation, it's now about the sustainability of the relief efforts that's coming into question. Donations are coming in hard and fast, but the management of that money is really a concern. And are these funds reaching the necessary areas? And just what is the planning into the future? That is what is now reverberating here on the ground.
Ziyanda and Ngcobo, thank you very much indeed for that update, an important update. You look at what's happening in the background there.